Another thing you can do with Mixcraft is to make mashups or beat match some music or create DJ mixes that smoothly transition from one song to another, not just fading in and out from one another, but actually matching the tempo of one to the other as they transition. Or you can make like dance remixes where you take some cool drum beats and add them to your favorite songs to make them more danceable. Doing all those things requires you to understand how to manipulate the tempo of a track inside of Mixcraft, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Let's take a look at the new project window as before and choose option number 2, which is build loop and beat match music. Once we do that, let's not even play with the project settings. Let's let Mixcraft do the work for us. So I'll close this window or minimize Mixcraft and hunt around for a cool file. How about this thing, the song? Holding my mouse down and dropping it on the timeline, there's the song. Once I do that, we get that little pesky box that says use the best sounding project tempo. Yeah, we want to do that this time. Before I click yes, though, I'm going to take a note of what tempo Mixcraft came up with, and I got to tell you in advance that the files that I've chosen for this mashup example here are troubled files. These are kind of the worst case scenario. A lot of times when you bring a file into Mixcraft, it just identifies the beat correctly and everybody's happy. But in case something goes wrong, I'm going to show you how to fix it. So these files have multiple things wrong with them that we're going to fix, all right? So bear with me. So I'm taking a note of this, switch to a tempo of 58 BPM, and I don't think my song's that slow. 58 BPM is like this super sleepy ballad, and this is not that. But I'm going to say yes anyway. Once I do that, I'm going to drag my song over to time 0, beat 1, bar 1, and see what it sounds like. Alright, I got a few problems. I've got the metronome turned on, and I can hear that metronome is not going 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going 1, rest, 2, rest. It's going at a super slow tempo that's not right. Not only that, it's out of sync with the start point of my file. Somehow the beep is not anywhere near bar 1, beat 1. So even if the tempo was off a bit, it would start out on the beat and then drift off. So there's multiple problems here. Let's fix the first one, which is the tempo seems to be about half of what it should be. I'm going to double click on the song, and that will bring up the sound edit tab, or I could click on the sound edit tab down here. Once I do that, I can see some analysis markers where Mixcraft's come up with a tempo for this file, and this 59 business is probably not right. A lot of times, if something does go wrong, what goes wrong is Mixcraft comes up with a tempo that's half or double what it should be, and they've even provided a button to fix that particular case. So if you look here on the left, we've got some options. One of them is detected tempo. You can see our detected tempo 58.96221. No, 96621. There is a button that says double or half the current tempo. Let's double. I'm going to click it one time, and now I've got a tempo of 117.9. Boy, that's close to 118. I'm going to guess that this song's really at 118. And I'm going to believe in that, so I'm going to go over to the project settings, and I'm going to change the project tempo to 118. Or 117.9 if you want to type that, but I'm just going to do 118. And hit enter, rewind to the beginning, hit play. Alright, that was better. At least our metronome's kind of going the right tempo, but its start point is still off. We're not totally synced up. Let's fix that next. If I double click on the file, bring up our editor again, and then place my mouse over the waveform down below here, if I start to use the scroll wheel on my mouse, I can zoom in and see the start of my file. And here we can see we got a couple problems. One problem is that the snap point, where our file snaps when we're dragging it on the timeline, is not on a drum beat, and it needs to be. So let's find a convenient drum beat like the first one and drop our snap point on it. So far, so good. The second problem is we've got some dead air here at the start of the file, and I don't like that. You can have dead air, but I want to change the loop point, the loop start, so that if we loop this little bit of music, if it's a beat, a bunch of times, the loop will stay in sync. It won't go out of sync as it's been looped, so I'm going to move that loop start right there. Once that's fixed, I should be able to take another listen and see if we've succeeded. Alright, cool. We've succeeded. That's great. Now we've got MIXC4 following our song tempo, and we can add other elements. We can either drag loops and drum beats from the library to add to our song, or we can bring in some more files. Let's bring in another file from the outside. I've got kind of a danceable beat here. Jam and Groove MIXC4 MP3. Let's bring that guy in and drop him on the timeline. And let's mute our original song and just listen to the Jam and Groove. Alright, we got a Jam and Groove. That is cool. But it's not in sync. Usually, again, when you bring a loop into, or a file like this into MIXC4, it will analyze that file. Beat matching is turned on, so it should have automatically identified the correct tempo for this thing, and we would have been done. But this particular file, and others like it that I generated with Reason, don't seem to stay in sync. I could not figure out, tried all the export options in Reason, tried dragging them into iTunes, converting them to MP3s, and it doesn't make any difference. Some files are just not recognized correctly, not analyzed correctly, or at all. But we can fix it. Let's double click on this file, and we can see the file down below. Let's zoom in, check our sync point issues. Yeah, loop start could be better, but it's a lot better than what we had going on before. Okay, we can zoom back out. But our tempo is off. There's kind of two ways we could fix it. We could just warp this thing. We know that this thing is 8 bars long, or we think it's 8 bars long. We've counted it out. We can just use the time squashing features to squash this guy down to 8 bars. To do that, hold down the Control key and get near the end of the waveform up here in the mixing window. And you can see something pops up that has 2 little hands, and that says Stretch Time with Flex Audio. Once you grab, you can see we're making this, spacing these drum beats way out. We can make this bit be as many bars long as we want it to be. So if we wanted it to be 12 bars long, we could. Doesn't really help us in our syncing problem, but you could, just by trial and error, find the correct length with time stretching. But I don't want to do that, so I'm going to undo, and I'm going to switch our time stretching mode to adjust to project tempo mode. Once I do that, I need to make sure the detected tempo is correct for this file. Well, that's what's wrong with this file. MIXC4 didn't detect a tempo, so we need to manually figure out what the tempo of this baby is. How do you do that? The easiest way is to get some sort of tap tempo program. So you can download these little freeware tap tempo tools. I have one on my other computer sitting in here, and you just tap the mouse along to the music. After 5 or 6 taps, the program will display the tempo of your loop. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit play. In fact, I'm going to turn the metronome off and tap along on my other computer. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 135 BPM. That's the correct tempo. I'm going to go back to sound here and type in 135 for this little bit. Once I do that, everything should be in sync. Turn our beat back on. Alright, and then we can even unmute our song, see if we've added a cool groove to the song. Alright, everything's good except the song is not in sync with the groove again. What's wrong now? Well, I think the problem is the song's beat 1 is not right. Let's rewind. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the number 1 beep and the number 1 beat of the song are not right. So this song doesn't start on beat 1. Another problem for us to fix. Let's listen to it soloed. Oops, sorry. Back to the beginning. Metronome off. It starts with a snare. So snares are usually on 2 and 4 in a song. So I think this baby starts on 2. The song actually starts on 2. I'm going to drag. I'm going to snap to quarter notes to make sure I'm always on 1, 2, 3, or 4 beat, and drag our little song to number 2. Let's listen. Beeper back on. I'm going to count with it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That feels good. Now if I add my groove, we should be in good shape. Much better. All right. So now we've got a dance remix, right? At least kind of. We've added a beat along with our song to make it more danceable. Let's pretend that it's a mashup. How do you do mashups? Well, you edit, you split your clip. So you've got your first song and the second song you want to mash into it. Let's pretend that Jam and Groove Mixcraft is our second song. And we're going to start with the first song. And we're going to click on Jam and Groove. And click right on the beat. Beat 3, we're going to switch to the other Jam and Groove. Got to go to Edit, Split, and split the clip. I'm sorry, I didn't have it clicked. Got to be real careful with your clicking here. Click in here, Edit, Split. Now I've got a split right at this beat, and I'm going to click on Jam and Groove, right-click, and mute the Jam and Groove at the beginning. Then I'm going to click up here and mute the song at that same point. Now when we listen, we should hear the song, and then we're going to switch to the second one. The mashup is complete. Second song. So we've mashed these two up. And you could switch back and forth, verse from one song, chorus from the other song. Once they're in sync tempo-wise, you can freely just split the clip anywhere you want, chop them, or even play them both at the same time like we were doing before. All right, let's undo that. And let's demonstrate one other thing you might want to do with beat matching, which is your DJ mix. We've got our song. Let's say song 1 is almost over. I'm going to decide I'm done listening to it right here. Bar 6, and split the song. Just because I want to pretend that it's over. I'm going to delete the rest of the song, and I'm going to make a fade out. How do you make fade outs? Well, it's a cool automatic way. You can drag over this loop here and go to Sound, Fade Out, and you can fade out fast, medium, or slow. I'm going to fade out medium. Let's listen to that. Let's go ahead and split the second clip as well. Same place. All right. Goodbye to the end of that groove. And hello, fade out. A little bit different fade out just for fun. Fast on that one. And listen. All right, let's say we want to make a seamless mix to another song. Let's bring in another song. Go here, let's get the groove. We'll bring it in, drop it on the track, and we'll overlap these guys a little bit. So let's overlap them like we're going to switch to a new song tempo. Alright, that was pretty chaotic DJ transition. In fact, I'm going to set it right here. I think it would sound better to not overlap quite so much. It would be sure cool if we could seamlessly change the tempo maybe over these couple of bars right here. So, what's the tempo of this little piece? Well, this groove, let's see. It defied automatic analysis as well. So, I'm just going to tell you I've tap tempoed this guy already, and his tempo is 135. So what we've got to do is transition from 118 to 135 by the time this other guy is faded out. Let's say by the end of bar 5. So over from bar 4 to bar 5, we're going to go from 118 to 135, and we'll be ready to go. So right here on bar 4, I'm going to click on a marker and check the tempo box and change our tempo to maybe 120. Then I'm going to go a little bit later in the bar, and I click on the marker again. Tempo. I'm going to type in 125. And I could keep clicking the marker button here, but you can also just double click in this ruler, and that will bring up a marker window. Make another marker of 130. And then right where I need the deed to be done, I'm going to double click and put in a marker of 135. So now, by the time I reach this bar 5, I'm going to be in the tempo of the groove. Let's listen to this masterpiece. All right, that was pretty good. One problem, we forgot to type in a beat correct tempo for the groove. So I'm going to double click on the groove, bring it up here. Remember I said that I had already double clicked that thing, or tap tempoed that thing, and he should be 135. So there's our 135. Now let's listen to it. Yeah, so it sounds like a brilliant DJ move. We could even extend this stuff back out here and make a little bit, maybe delete. I'm holding down the Alt key while clicking to delete fade out markers. And let's see what this sounds like. That was pretty smooth. Made it sound like we knew what we were doing.